LSU going to Gainesville to play the Florida Gators. Gators are a 2.5-point favorite. Like we alluded to, this is a game where you can travel light. You don't need to bring logic. You don't need to bring common sense. You don't need to be reasoning when you predict this game. There's a lot of things that we're just going to not pack for this game in that department because, quite frankly, whenever they play, something weird happens. Some team does something that we're not accustomed to seeing them do, and you can look at the highlight tapes from years past if you want more proof of that. With that being said, for LSU, this would be a massive win. I mean, just in terms of the longevity for the Brian Kelly regime, I'm not alluding to anything with his job security. I'm just saying for next year, this would alleviate a lot of those talking points you're going to hear during the offseason. This would help him and help this program, obviously, to feel like they have some sort of proof of concept for Brian Kelly, because I'm one of those guys that thinks that Brian Kelly is going to be fine at LSU. It's going to take some time, got to put a fence around the boot, get their talent in there, but they're going to be more than fine at LSU. But a win like this would just sort of be a little bit of a, okay, all right, yep, you're right. Nope, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Kind of calms everybody down a little bit to beat a team like Florida. Now for Florida, I think this is a win that allows them to get some more confidence because you've seen them look great at times. I mean, saw them beat Utah week 1 of the season. We've seen them look pretty average at times. Look at Kentucky. Look at the game where they let USF hang around for just about the entirety of that game. A win like this, I think, would signify, okay, we're still in the upper half of the SEC. And both first-year head coaches at their respective programs, it would be, to the same token, some proof of concept for what you have building there with Billy Napier. So that's kind of the stage for you. Our hinge points. If you're new to the program, hinge points for us are points within this game that we think if it favors one team or the other, that's going to dictate the way that this game goes. The first hinge point for me, do we see run game AR? Those of you that follow the NBA, you've heard of Hoodie Mello or Untucked Kyrie, guys that just, when they have something going, whether it's their jersey untucked or Carmelo Anthony shows up in a hoodie, you know it's about to go down. Like, dude's about to get cooking. For AR, we need to see him tuck it and run. Because we have seen on multiple occasions, when that run game gets going for him specifically, when he decides to get in his bag and start making dudes miss in the open field and second read's not there, he's out the pocket, good things happen for this offense, and the numbers dictate so. When he has 10-plus carries, the offense has got a different juice. Look at Tennessee, for example. 17 carries in that game. Not a crazy amount of yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Tennessee scores 33. He had his best day through the air. Look at the game against Utah, which they won. 11 carries. He had over 100 yards. He had, I believe it was 3 touchdowns on the ground. Offense scored 29 points. They beat Utah. He was pretty efficient through the air. It was a rain game, so it's a little bit of an asterisk, but he was more efficient through the air, had a really good QBR that game. My feeling with AR is he is such a gifted athlete, and his instincts tell him to run, quite frankly, more than I think he does. If he's able to just sort of play free, if he's able to allow that run game to compound into him passing well, I think that's going to be crucial for the Florida offense. Has to happen in this game. If he wants to play hesitant, if he wants to sort of not all the way follow through when he feels like maybe he should be running, he tries to escape and try to pass, that's not the game that you want to play if you're AR. We've said it before. He's a wild horse. Do not saddle him. It's the first point for Florida. LSU has a aggressive front seven, an 8% sack rate on the year. If AR doesn't run, they're going to benefit from that. Because at that point, then you can kind of play both, right? You don't have to worry about him running, so you can just focus on the receivers. And if he does run, well, then you got to account for both. That's crucial for the balance of this game. Because for LSU, you cannot afford to start slow. Look at the last few games for them. Down 13-0 against Mississippi State. They came back in that game. They were down 17-0 to Auburn, came back in that game. Got down 20-0 against Tennessee. You're not coming back from that against Tennessee. Let's just take a look at the offense for LSU. Averaging 22 points a game against Power 5 competition. In 4 games, you have scored 89 points as a program. Some of those are attributed to the defense. Some of those are from the special teams. Here's the deal. This is a race, and you're not the fast kid. You can't afford to spot Florida 10 points, 15 points, whatever you want to call it. That can't be the way that you live in this game. Because, again, your offense, you've proven on multiple occasions, it can be good when it wants to be. It can kind of kick it into gear, but there's a ceiling to that. There's a governor to that. You're not going to be able to catch this Florida offense if you go down by 2 scores. Just the fact of the matter. So that's going to be extremely crucial for this LSU, whether it's the offense scoring with Florida or whether it's the defense in that secondary being able to play flexible and balanced on the back end, keeping AR in check. There has to be a sort of back and forth. Got to answer scores at the very least for LSU to have a puncher's chance in this game. Final thing we're looking at. How much do you ask Jayden Daniels to carry for this LSU offense? Because, quite frankly, the offensive line has been musical chairs. This is their 6th different unit they're starting. That's not good. I mean, continuity on the offensive line is crucial. To not have that, you're hurting as an offense. Also, they haven't run the ball effectively. Maybe that's a byproduct of what they don't have on the offensive line. But last week they had like 55 yards rushing. How many of you know it doesn't matter who you have playing quarterback? If you're running the ball for 55 yards in a football game, you could have Tom Brady back there. He's going to have some issues reading that defense. Just the fact of the matter. For Jayden Daniels, a lot of what we've seen is he has pressure after that first read, so he has to take off and go. That's great. It works a couple of times, but even if that works in the early going, Florida's going to be able to adjust to that. They're too athletic. They have too many guys on the defensive line. That can't be the way that you live as LSU. So if you ask him to do that, it's not going to go over well, all right? Just the fact of the matter. Now, can you give him some help? Can you be more creative in the run game? Can you have those receivers step up in a different way by getting the ball out to them and letting them work in space? Maybe it's more of the screen game. Maybe it's more of the quick game. There's got to be something else to this offense to where they can throw a counterpunch at Florida. Because if they can do that, like we already talked about, answering scores, even better yet, think about this. If LSU can play with a lead, put the pressure on Florida and an AR that's quite frankly been a little bit inconsistent from game to game, that would be the recipe for success for LSU. Extremely crucial hinge point in this game for LSU as they go into enemy territory. Like we talked about, stranger things have happened. It's a weird game. Throw logic out the window. We're going to use logic, though, in picking this game. And here's what it comes down to for us. The LSU offense just gives us too much pause. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. This LSU offense isn't great. That's just the fact of the matter. Now, in years to come under Brian Kelly, they're going to get the right guys in. They're going to get some more continuity in. I mean, they've taken more transfers than anybody else in college football. It's taken some time to bake. Just the fact of the matter. Florida's running back room, if everything else goes to the dogs, if AR doesn't have the day that he wants to have, if the defense has issues, they can turn around and hand it to Travis Etienne and Montrell Johnson, averaging around 7-8 yards a carry respectively. That is enormous. To have that consistency in the backfield to lean on when things get weird, because things will get weird in this game, I promise you, I think that's the difference. So I think it's ugly. I think it's physical. I think it is an SEC classic, as we typically get in this game, but Florida's on a revenge tour. And I think that pays dividends in this game, gets them over the hump. They get enough from the offense, enough from AR, and they bottle up Jayden Daniels enough to be able to win this game close. I think the Gators win this one in Gainesville 20-17.